Hello and welcome. This is going to be a wickedly divine feminine, divine masculine check-in for those of you that are in no communication. This will be the tea a little bit, or my version of it anyways. And I'm feeling called today to do something a little absurd, which is to, well, not, I don't know about absurd, different, is to start with the shadow cards, which are usually the cards on the bottom of the deck after you've shuffled and pulled the cards that you want. And I'm going to start with the Divine Circus, which is usually the one that I do last, and I'm going to read from the book, and then I'm gonna talk about what I think it means, and then go through some of the other cards that are in there. They all have an interesting theme together, and feel free to apply your own interpretations, disregard what doesn't feel like it fits, and keep what does. So what we have in the underlying of the Divine Circus, interestingly enough, is the Steampunk Priestess. Very interesting. And she's card number 7, which is associated with the Chariot, mostly Cancer, but also some Leo. And it's like movement, manifestation, momentum, and sometimes it can also have to do with like police or actually moving, like moving away from something, moving towards something. Or the Chariot card can be like being pulled in 2 different directions. It really depends. Now, I'm loving what the book has to say about this card, and it seems very fitting with my own intuitions of what's going on in the Divine Masculine Collective. So, Steampunk Priestess. 1, 2, 3. Trust in what you see. 4, 5, 6. The truth behind the tricks. 7, 8, 9. Clarity divine. You shall see what you need to see. At the perfect moment, it shall be. Appearances can deceive, yet when the time is right, incisive intuition slices through the illusion, and the truth hits you between the eyes. That is the perception of reality behind the illusion. You know it when you experience it, and you know that you have to trust what you see. So give yourself permission to acknowledge and accept the power of those insights. Don't talk yourself out of the truth. Intuition might only last for a second, and yet it can change the way you look at things forever, setting you on a more authentic course and allowing for changes to take place that you might have previously believed were impossible. The Steampunk Priestess comes to you when there is more to something or someone than initially meets the eye. You might need to look closer to understand what is happening, or to trust in what you are already perceiving, even if a part of you doubts it, because the truth of the matter in such cases would be so at odds with superficial appearances. She reminds you to trust your insight, no matter how startling, surprising, or shocking that intuitive hit might be. She also brings a reminder to get focused on what matters to you. Then you won't lose precious energy by either worrying about what could go wrong or trying to sort something out in your head. When the time is right, even the most confusing situation is going to come into focus, and your understanding of the matter and what you need to do or not do will be crystal clear. Set an intention for clarity and trust in what you see. Now, for those of you Divine Masculines that are watching, and also Divine Feminine watching, when I read the affirmation that goes with this, you can practice it, Divine Fem, and it will help call your masculine to practicing it, and Divine Masculines, if you practice it, will help you, obviously. The affirmation is, the eye of love in my heart and the eye of light in my head show me the truths most helpful for me to see at the perfect time and in the perfect way. I feel relaxed and comfortable, trusting in what I see when I see it. Now that as an underlying card, like the reason that they are doing what they're doing, and also what spirit is guiding them to, it's very interesting. I have a sense that this is a combination of masculines that are trying to get more in touch with their intuition. And I know that Spirit has been trying to get them to do that for a while. A lot of Divine Feminines have been going through learning to be in and balance both masculine and feminine energies. And masculines have kind of been avoiding it, either being stuck in toxic feminine energy or toxic masculine energy, and avoiding going for their intuition. They've been staying with like dry logic and just being in their heads, which if they've been acting really or weird to you, that's usually why. They're afraid to acknowledge their feminine halves. And if they're acting like you are the bad guy, Divine Femme, and you've been being good, and you know, or even if you haven't been, you know, like they know who you are to them. If they've been acting like you're the bad guy, it's likely that they're not listening to their intuition, and they're just going off of dry logic and worried about how the world will perceive them. Now, this tells me that one way or another, especially with what today is, which is Friday the 13th, although this I was going to say movie. That's funny. This reading is timeless, though. Whenever you see it is when it applies. But it tells me that Spirit is kicking them in the butt about learning to listen to their intuition and recognizing that not everything is as it seems. I just got a weird text notification, too, which for me means confirmation in that. And the train horn. Why not, you know? It also just started hailing, which is very interesting, and I just noticed a few other readers had said something like, what is it? Like, it's on. Like, also, what is it? There was a song that came to me as I was shuffling this. It's Bad Moon Rising. I see a bad moon rising. I see trouble on the way. Right? That could be Spirit saying to them, like, hey, if you don't start listening to your intuition, there's going to be some real trouble, especially if you're there, you know, because you're in no communication, or at least limited communication. They're not listening. But I have a feeling that this is likely them also thinking about you, especially if you're doing your work and you pulled away, even just for a moment, and are working on yourself. But this is Spirit telling them, hey, not everything is as it seems, and you need to listen to your intuition at least as much as you listen to your logical, rational side, but probably more so for a while. Now, on the bottom of the shamanic deck, we got this. Now, isn't this funny? Like, look at these two cards. So they've got some feminine energy for sure in their shadow sides, and you know, this is what they're feeling. They may not know it consciously, but this is what they're sensing. I just saw 7-Eleven on the timer there. Now, this to me connects with today. Mars is going direct. It's still in Aries, so it's in its own sign, exalting it, amplifying the power, things like that. And this, I mean, she's kind of she's a fire dancer in there, and she's got a rose in her hair, which is, it's funny, it's on fire and not on fire. And this to me is very much a Phoenix moment card. And I have a feeling that they're very in the middle of all the feminine energy that's been called around them. And they're probably not really getting that what they need to do is embrace their feminine energy and learn to balance that with the masculine. But I think that Mars is kicking them in. And this could also represent both like if you're glowing up. Wow, it's going to get noisy for a minute. Might have a little thunderstorm. It may be that they're having trouble hearing divine guidance, and so they're having trouble hearing you, but they're seeing you glow up. Like, this is somebody who's an entertainer. Like, are you doing videos? Are you auditioning? Are you singing? Are you doing something that helps you glow up? Because if so, they're likely seeing that. They may be a little envious, or they may be feeling it also, and like, what am I doing with my life? It could also be that if they're in with a third party, either their third party is, you know, or, well, see, you would be the third party in that situation, but their karmic could be burning things down, or glowing up themselves and leaving. It could be something like that. Either way, there's a fire started. Was it? There's a fire burning in my heart, right? Reaching a fever pitch. I don't even know if those are quite the right lyrics to that song, but it feels fitting in there. There's some sort of a fever pitch happening, and it makes sense with where Mars is. Now, on the homophones deck, look at that. We got break in reverse. And I love it because, look, it's pink. And I was like, oh, pink today, pink. But it's funny. So Whereas this in upright break would, to me, it's like break, like you're breaking open the piggy bank to get the money out so you can do something fun. This way says to me that something is broken in a not a good way. And because of the pink and the pig, it's very feminine energy. And it fits in. In fact, it's funny, I didn't even think about that. It fits in with the underlying stuff that we have going on. There's more feminine energy, but there's something broken in it, and it is affecting their financial abundance and their ability to, and even like food and their ability to recycle things. Like, think of what pig is as a totem. It's often associated with wealth and abundance, but it also, in reverse, it's like rolling in the mud, which is funny. The thought in my mind was, actually, that's not bad. Like, how we often get so caught up in like, oh, we have to be so clean all the time, that we won't let ourselves be childlike and just go roll in the mud and pretend to be a pig. Like, I used to love pretending to be a piggy with my kids when they needed to eat their food, but it wasn't fun. I'm like, come on, let's pretend to be pigs, do it. And I have videos of them doing it. I love that, right? But it could be that it's not fun. What they wanted to spend money on is not coming. It's not in there. It's empty. You don't see any coins coming out of this. And it's broken in a way that is not likely fixable, at least not yet. And it could be for some of them that they may feel like that is with you, especially if they created a situation where you walked away because of how they were treating you. It may be in their shadow space to recognize, like, they can start over. Now, on the bottom of the Rider-Waite deck, look at that. Looky. I got hooky. This is the Twin Flame card, but it's in reverse, which, and it's also, it has to do with like the happy home thing. Like in upright, this could be like celebration of a happy home, coming home, a victory, and like twin flames, a connection. It's number 4, it's stability, it's related to the Emperor and things like that. These two cards very much go together, right? There's something unhappy in the home going on with them, and it has to do with finances and wealth, and also pigs are associated with family. There's something that is broken about it, and this can in reverse can sometimes indicate a false twin flame, but I think a lot of it really, because it's wands, because there's no communication, they're really feeling that, and they're really they're not happy. They may have thought that they would have been, especially if they did something or told you, go get on, I don't want to do this, stuff like that. But the minute that you did, they were like, that's not, wow, that's really not what I wanted. Why did I say that? Why did I say that that's what I wanted at all? And especially if they see you now glowing up and they're feeling the brokenness of your connection. It's not really broken, but they feel like it's broken, and they're experiencing more bad karma in terms of finances at home, that maybe now they're actually looking at their intuition and they're like, maybe things were not what I thought they were. And sometimes, femmes, that's the important thing about learning to be able to back off and be able to have faith and release them without being in necessarily an angry place. Just recognize that sometimes those moments come so that spirit can show them stuff. We are not the knowers of all things. We may know a lot of things, but there are many times that not only do we need a break, but spirit has much better resources than we do. Just remind yourself to allow things to unfold. Now, I'm gonna start with the shaman cards in terms of the ones that we got on here. Now, this is interesting because looking at the shadow work, the first one that I got, offerings, wealth, right? Now, to me, this talks about Thanksgiving, so their mind is likely on Thanksgiving, and we are near Thanksgiving, so it's that, but also about their harvests. And I see these little, you know what they kind of remind me of is like fireflies, but also raindrops, which is funny, right? And because of the shadow side in there, and look, 2 flames, right? And I think what it is that their mind is on wealth. But their mind is on offerings to ancestors. That's what the old feasts used to be in these times, and they're thinking about what all they have and don't have, and they want that wealth back. They want the sustenance, right? And they're thinking about making an offer, and it could also be that some offers are coming into them. They might have had some of them may have been actually like secreting away little bits of money and resources when they realized that things were starting to fall away. They may be thinking about what they want to do with that. Some of them may be getting inheritances, or having, like, once they start listening to their intuition and recognizing that they can manifest different situations, that it may be that this is what they're doing right now, is they're thinking about family and real wealth. Like, what is real wealth? Like, wealth is in the memories and the family and stuff. Now, I like that this card came along with it. This is birds and freedom. And femmes, if you've been seeing a fair amount of birds, it could be, and oftentimes birds indicate messages, both from spirit and from your twin. And it could be that they're saying, I am freeing myself. I'm freeing myself. Especially if you see, let's see, hawks, owls, crows, doves. I don't want to say vultures, which can also herald, the ending of old cycles, beginning of new cycles. And DMs too, if you are seeing birds, it is likely spirit saying, free yourself, freedom, Now, the homophone cards that we got, oh, I dropped some cards. Where did they go? Okay, well, I guess when we get to the Rider-Waite, we're only going to do one card. I had two. Anyways, did I have two? Yeah, I did have two. I don't know where it went. So we have clothes, and we have some with candy in there. And you know what's funny? I haven't been called to this before, but look at this sweater. It's got reindeer on it. So there could be something to do with reindeer. Could be something to do with Christmas. Wow, and there's a little star on there too, which has actually been a theme for me too. Think of the star card. Guidance and a wish and balance and music and astrology and things like that. The reindeer being the stag, the antler, I'm thinking about the antlers, think about like a big buck. That's what these ones are. They've got the big antlers. That means they are mature. They've been there for a while. They've had a few, what do they call it, ruttings, where they've shedded, and they've or maybe it's shed. But they've already been through a few mating seasons, and they kind of know what they want and what they do and don't want. And one of them has an X on it too. We've got green and red in there, which heart chakra and root chakra in there. Because it's upright, I'm getting the sense that maybe it's something happy to do with doing chores and things like that. And with some being an upright with the candy, I mean, it may be that they're thinking about the sweetness and the simplicities of life. And likely, if things feel broken around where they are and stuff, and these also have to do with family and holidays and things like that, it may be that that's what they're trying to work towards right now, is trying to get back to the simple, sweet things and not overcomplicate things. Maybe they're treating themselves with a little bit of sweetness too. Now, this is interesting. Okay, well, I was going to do this in a completely different order, but this is just the way it's going to go. So the Rider-Waite card, I wish I knew what happened to the other one and why it disappeared, but that's okay. There may be something going on, if you're, for either DMs or DFs that you're not quite aware of. I know it was an upright card. I just don't know where it went or why. But this card is the one that came out, and it's the Four of Cups. Now, this to me really resonates with this card, the offerings card, the wealth card, because it's likely that they've had a bunch of people around them. They may have had even money coming in a lot. They may have a lot of things and materialism around them, but they're bored with it. It's not satisfying. They're really learning that lesson. A lot of divine masculines went into it thinking, I need a pretty house, and I need my garage, and I need a woman who at least looks good on the outside, and I want it to look a certain way, and I want to have all this stuff. And then when that wasn't satisfying, they were like, okay, I want fancier food, or I want a fancier radio, or I want a different car, or there's something missing, and there happened something missing. And they may have, even in many cases, thought that it was you, and you are a part of that divine femme, but really what they've been missing is the connection to their own emotions and their